You're listening to the Paranormal Peeps on the Darkcast Network. Come to the dark side of indie podcasts with the Darkcast Network.
We have cookies. Between the realm of the dead and the journeys of the living, join Josh, Jamie, and Elisa as they delve into the vast world of the paranormal and breathe life back into the history of the departed.
Hello, my name is DJ, and I'm the host of the Mythical True Crime Podcast. Join me and the Darkcast network of indie podcast creators as we delve into the mysterious and the macabre, exploring captivating tales of true crime, legends, and unsolved mysteries from the realms of mythology and reality. Uncover the dark true tales of modern legends with our spoken narratives that blend history, crime, and the supernatural. Just starting Season 3, you can listen to the newest episodes every other week, as well as all my backlog episodes on anywhere you can listen to your podcasts.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Paranormal Peeps podcast. I'm Josh.
And I'm Jamie.
And Elisa is still out sick.
Yep.
But she should be back for the next episode.
Yeah, our year in review.
Yes.
Yes.
Kind of following suit what we did last week where we talked about Flight 401, I actually came across a bunch of other aviation-related ghost stories that I thought would be fun to kind of share. And so people think, snakes on a plane is super scary.
I've never seen it.
I haven't either.
It was so stupid, I just couldn't watch it.
Right. Well, we got ghosts on a plane.
Oh, that's better. Yeah.
So much better.
So much better.
Little terrifying, though, for a lot of people.
Well, I think flying in general is terrifying. You throw in some ghosts in there and mechanical difficulties or any of those things, then yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so let's get started. What's our first story?
Our first story is about an American Airlines flight 191. It starts that basically after it took off, it banked completely sideways moments before it crashed in May of 1979. So this is a DC-10 aircraft, and it was scheduled to make a nonstop flight from Chicago to Los Angeles that day. But upon takeoff, part of the engine pylon fell away from the aircraft, and a white vapor emanated from the area. That is frightening.
Yeah, your engine shouldn't fall off.
No. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So as the plane rose, the entire engine and pylon tore loose from its mounting. It flipped up and over the wing and crashed down onto the runway. Now, can you imagine being in this plane, looking out the window and seeing this happen, or by the wing when it happened?
Yeah, I usually sit by the wing.
I know.
That would absolutely terrify me.
I mean, you just bend over backwards and kiss your butt because it's done.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, how frightening.
Super frightening.
So the tower then radioed and asked if 191 wanted to come back, but obviously they got no reply. Instead, the plane climbed to about 300 feet and then it banked to the left slowly at first and then started to bank to the left quite sharply until the wings were actually vertical.
Yeah.
So at this point, the plane, it literally fell from the sky and it exploded in a massive fireball.
It's because it was full of fuel.
Full of fuel. So 2 people were killed that were on the ground. So ground crew, I'm guessing?
No, it actually fell into a residential area.
Oh, okay.
It's like the worst possible scenario of an aircraft crash.
So 2 people on the ground were killed. And then all 271 passengers and crew members were actually killed instantly on this, which goes without saying.
Yeah. A plane, you have a chance if you can land the plane on its wheels or on its belly, but not when it's completely vertical. It's at a complete 90-degree tilt.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of it, too, you can see, and it is completely 90 degrees with the wings up and down.
That's frightening.
Yeah.
And it just dropped out of the sky like a
slid.
rock.
It's only 300 feet off the ground.
It doesn't matter.
It just slid right into the ground.
Yeah. Oh, man. Now, activity, because that's a lot of people that died.
270 some people.
271. And then 2 that were on the ground.
Yeah.
So the strange activity actually began within hours of the crash as residents and neighboring mobile home community reported hearing knocking and rapping on their doors and windows. So many of these residents were actually retired police and firemen who said no one was there when they actually answered the doors and looked out the windows. And this continued for weeks and months, and it even escalated to the point that doorknobs were being turned and rattled. Footsteps were heard approaching the trailers. There was clanging on metal stairs, and in some occasions, actual figures would appear.
Oh, geez.
According to some of the reports, few residents opened their doors to find a worried figure who stated that he had to get his luggage or had to make a connecting flight and he was standing on their porch.
Right.
You know, they opened the door and, you know, there's this person. I need my luggage. I need to catch my connecting flight. I mean, imagine the confusion of these residents answering this door.
Oh, yeah. Totally confusing.
Yeah. So the figure would then turn and vanish into the darkness. Going on within a few months of this tragic crash, police began to report strange white lights bobbing up and down in the field. People thought they were like souvenir hunters.
Yeah.
But the police always found that the field was deserted and silent when they go check it out. So there was
that. Yeah. So it's like, because you would think, yeah, people are going to go look. They're going to try to find a scrap, a piece, or something of the plane.
Yeah, what is it with humans like us that go and you think it's just, there's like this macabre, you know.
We like tragedy. I mean,
why? It's sad. It's incredibly sad, but you're right. To go out there and to find a piece of this plane or a piece of someone's personal whatever, you know, we're like fascinated with it. And this is not all people, but there are a lot.
I think it's a part of humanity, right? It's like we go to these places, investigate them, you know, some people metal detect at them, right?
Yeah.
Because there's this piece of us that says, hey, I'm still alive. Mm-hmm. Like, I will remember this piece and I want some piece of history. Just like if we had a piece of the Challenger.
Right.
You know, yes, it was a very horrible, horrific thing, but here's a memento of it, and you can look at it and you can remember it. It's just it is very macabre.
It's very macabre. The tragedy and the strange events that followed caused many of the residents to actually move out of the park. But when the new arrivals, so new people who bought the properties, took their place, they too actually began to report the weird happenings. Fairly recent sighting was described by a man who was walking his dog one night near the area where Flight 191 went down. He was approached by a young man who explained that he needed to make an emergency telephone call. So
that sounds actually like normal.
So the man who was walking his dog, he actually looked at this person curiously, and because he seemed to reek of gasoline, so like jet fuel. Yeah, I'm sure, and that's a strong smell.
It is a very strong smell.
And he also appeared to be like smoldering, which that's pretty frightening.
Yes.
So at first he just assumed that the man had been running on this chilly night, and the steam was just coming from his clothing because of like his body heat and the moisture in the air.
Sure.
But when he turned away to point out a nearby phone and then turned back again, the man had actually completely vanished. So the man with the dog had heard stories from other local residents about the moans and weird cries that emanate from this crash in 1979, but he never believed them until now, because now he just realized he had his own personal experience with it. So now he's convinced that he had actually encountered one of these restless passengers from Flight 191.
Oh, jeez.
So, and he's likely not the only one, because the stories of weird knockings, unexplained sounds, and even apparitions actually continue to this day.
Oh, wow. So it's still an active place.
Yeah, it's like it's imprinted on the environment. I think some of it's residual. I think others is intelligent for sure.
How is it we've never heard of this until now?
Well, it happened so many years ago, and maybe it's just become commonplace now for that area, and it's just so, and with all the other happenings in the world between this time and today.
Yeah.
There's so much other things we're focused on. This has fallen by the wayside a bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
So one long-standing incident which is often repeated, comes from the terminal at O'Hare itself. According to travelers, many have reported to see a man making a telephone call from a booth that is located close to the departure gate that was used for Flight 191. And those who have seen this man say it is quite normal looking, except for the fact that his business attire seems oddly out of date. So that would stand out. You figure 1979.
You get that
attire.
70s leisure suit going on.
Right. So they say he steps away from the telephone booth, manages a few steps, and then will vanish into thin air. They're thinking, is he one of the doomed passengers from Flight 191 or another phantom altogether?
Oh, geez.
I would say, given that it's the phone booth right by gate 191 that Flight 191 took, I would say it's linked.
I would say so, too.
Yeah. And this one sounds more residual.
Yeah, it does. That one definitely has that more of a residual sound to it.
Yeah, it does.
Versus the other ones. Some of them sound more intelligent, although confused, right? Like knocking on someone's door saying, hey, I need to find my luggage.
That sounds more intelligent.
It does. It's just more of a confused, like, I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, what happened? I have no idea, but I need my luggage. I'm supposed to catch a connecting flight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those seem definitely intelligent, but yeah. Yeah, very, very sad.
Very sad.
And I'm sure that, and I don't know how the area has changed today, like the residential area where they're reporting a lot of this activity. But I would imagine that if you were to go there, I think you'd be more likely to experience something.
Probably.
Maybe unexplainable,
Yeah. Problem is depending on where that's located, that may not be a very safe place to go.
I'm guessing it's not, and I'm sure the residents that live there now don't want you wandering through waiting for something paranormal to happen.
Probably not.
They'll think you're like a stalker or something.
Right? Case in the joint.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to move on to a military plane. I will give this forewarning, is that airmen, when they named their planes, they didn't always use a politically correct term or a very nice term. Sometimes they were very crude.
Yeah, it was just the time.
Yes. If any aircraft has the potential to hold onto energy stemming from its time in the sky, then the collection of warbirds housed at the National Museum of United States Air Force at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, has the potential to be a paranormal power plant. The museum sits on 19 sprawling acres and boasts more than 350 aircraft and missiles, along with thousands of artifacts, making it among the largest military aviation museum in the world. So according to lore, some of the aircraft are haunted, such as the B-24 Liberator heavy bomber Strawberry Bitch, that is reportedly haunted by belly gunners killed by enemy fire. Visitors had reported seeing lights illuminate inside the aircraft and hear the belly guns rattle, according to hauntedhouse.com. A small Japanese boy has been seen standing by the World War II era B-29 bomber Boxcar, which in 1945 dropped the nuclear bomb on Nagasaki.
Wow.
Others have reported unexplained voices and apparitions connected to the wreckage on display from a B-24 Liberator that went down in the Libyan desert. The stories, however, are not something the U.S. Air Force pays much attention to, at least not officially. There has been no physical evidence to support the theory that the National Museum of United States Air Force is haunted, and no ghostly sightings have been officially reported or documented. Not surprising, honestly, that people don't always mention that or report that this stuff is haunted.
Well, and we've heard this time and time again in a lot of circumstances that when these events happen, these anomalies and stuff, that a lot of times it is just, they just kick dirt over it and move on.
Yep.
They don't bring light or attention to it.
Right. And the museum has made official statement on the matter. Says our goal is to promote the museum's mission of telling the Air Force story rather than trying to substantiate the existence or non-existence of paranormal activity.
Well, and that's fair.
That is fair. So civilian Carol Kugel was working at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base for nearly 4 decades. And she said she had her first ghost encounter when her office moved into Building 70 following its renovation. We would hear noises, music, crashing sounds, and there was nobody in the building. Once, while standing next to a wall, her name was whispered into her ear. She experienced a heavy door opening and closing on its own when no one else was in the building. A coworker vividly recalled seeing a man in a red shirt walk into the men's restroom. However, when he went in there, the motion sensor lights remained dark because no one was in there. But in 2008, the stories of the activity at Rice-Patterson Air Force Base prompted the Air Force to extend an invitation to TAPS.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The 3-night investigation, which was the first for the show at the active military installation, was also strategic, according to a spokesperson at the base. Ghost Hunters is immensely popular with a wide national demographic, including the recruiting age audience our Air Force is trying to reach.
Nice.
Very nice. So they said, we hope to share a little bit of Wright-Patterson's history and missions with viewers during the show and perhaps explain some unusual occurrences along the way. Kugel was at the base when the investigation in Building 70 wrapped up at 4 a.m. She, along with several other government workers, went around, turned off all the lights, and locked the doors after the crew left. 20 minutes later, they got a call from security forces. The doors were all open, and every other light was on in the building. It's like they ramped up some activity there a little bit.
Well, I mean, you hear this often, like when people start to remodel or a building that doesn't really have a lot of living frequent it. And then all of a sudden there's this upheaval of activity and more living people there, that sometimes it does kind of kickstart some of the paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can amplify it.
Well, yeah. And you got soldiers and stuff, or airmen, I should say, that are hanging out there. If they are hanging out there, and then someone comes by and acknowledges them, that it's like, oh my gosh, you actually know I'm here. Yeah.
Well, in a lot of time, I think that's what a lot of spirits want, is they want, nobody likes to be forgotten. And I say this often. And so I really believe that they just want to be acknowledged.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They just want to be known that, hey, I'm here. So moving on from Ohio, we're going to go to California. So the restored B-29 Fortress, Raising Hell, sitting outside the Castle Air Museum in Atwater, California, is a visitor favorite and has been fodder for stories of strange happenings in recent years. A spirit some believe inhabits the aircraft has become known as Arthur, the only legible word punched into the face of a corroded dog tag found in its tail section during restoration, the museum curator Timothy Brown said. While the museum doesn't investigate the story, some have been hard to ignore. Someone once called the museum to alert staff that lights were on in the B-29. At that point during the restoration process, there was no electricity or bulbs, for that matter, on the running lights of the B-29, but they swore they saw them all on. Arthur also had been a helper, according to the reports. We had a 2-man restoration crew working on the inside of the aircraft. One of them put his hand behind him and said, "Hey, can you hand me this wrench?" And a wrench was placed in his hand. He said, "Thank you," turned around, and there was nobody there. His restoration partner was actually out on the grounds having a cigarette break.
Wow. That kind of make the hair on the back of your neck stand up just a little bit.
Just a little bit. The Museum of Military Aircraft promotes the history of the B-29 and not the ghost story, says Brown, who says he has never had any paranormal experience at the museum. The aircraft did 54 missions over Korea and was hit by anti-aircraft 3 times, and actually shot itself once when its weapons cooked off rounds after they were loaded before the barrels cooled down. It's a very emotional thing for veterans to come out here and see these aircraft. If I go out there and start talking about Casper inside of one of their airplanes, they're not going to be happy about that, he said. But on the other hand, anything that brings attention to those aircraft to get them out here to learn about the history, I think is also beneficial.
Interesting.
Yeah. So another air museum.
Yeah.
With paranormal activity.
Well, look at the history.
Yes.
Of these museums and the pieces that are there.
Well, there's a lot of emotion that goes into wartime too. I mean,
Yes.
these are all aircraft that saw combat missions.
Yes.
And I mean, they flew 54 missions over Korea. I mean, that's a lot of energy and emotion that's going into, because every time you go up into the air, you have no idea if you're coming back.
Yeah.
And the fact that it got hit 3 times by anti-aircraft fire. Have you ever seen an anti-aircraft gun? I mean, the rounds are over an inch. They're usually like 30 millimeters.
That's crazy.
That's a big round
Yeah.
coming through. And then it shot itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it took rounds 4 times. The fact that it still flew and landed is amazing in itself.
Yeah. And just all that emotion and
Yeah.
just soaks into everything.
Sucks right into the metal.
Yeah.
So it all could be residual. Although,
I don't
the
know. The
wrench
one
thing.
Yeah, the one where he asked to hand him a wrench and one was put in his hand,
yes.
but not by the guy that was there. He was out having a cigarette.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's definitely like,
Yeah.
that would be intelligent.
So this last one of mine starts off, believe it or not, it's up to you. Nobody knows the truth.
Well, somebody knows the truth. Maybe not anybody living now, but somebody knows.
It's a recent story. So
Oh, okay.
I would say people would know that. But if it's only witnessed by 1 or 2 people and they're not talking anymore publicly, it's hard to say, right?
Yeah.
One of my friends who works for CX as a cabin crew told me this very famous story in the company during 1999. It was about one of CX's A340-300 lower crew rest areas, a CX flight from YYZ HKG. As usual, there are cabin crew, captain, first officer, and cruise pilot on board this flight. After the cabin crew serve the meal to the passengers, some of the crew take turns to rest inside the lower crew rest area. When one of the crew was about to fall asleep, she heard knocking sounds from behind the wall, which is supposed to be the cargo area or the landing gear / fuel tank area, as well as some other crew member inside the lower rest area. They all heard the knocking sounds from the wall, so they decided to report this abnormal sound to the in-flight service manager. But the in-flight service manager told the crew that before the flight departure, while on the ground briefing, the report showed no animals on board the cargo area on this flight. After a while, some of the crew felt too uncomfortable to sleep under such knocking sounds, so they all decided to leave the lower rest area and rather take a nap on their own jump seats outside the cabin. You know, where the crew sits before takeoff and landing.
Yes.
So they decided to sleep in those chairs instead.
Oh, uncomfortable.
Yeah. The in-flight manager went into the cockpit and told the captain this happening in the lower rest area, but the captain did not pay much attention to the in-flight service manager and told her it might be the sounds coming out of the avionics devices. So the captain ignored the checkup request from the in-flight service manager. Then she went back to work. Since CX cruise pilot and first officer take turns on the right seat during long-haul flights, now the first officer has to go to the lower rest area for a nap. When he was about to fall asleep, he heard banging sounds from inside the rest area. He also noticed the sequence of the banging sounds doesn't sound like it was generated by an aircraft device. It sounded like someone hitting on something extremely loud near the cargo compartment or the fuel tank area or the landing area, because it's all in the belly of the plane. At this moment, the first officer was very panicked and scared. He ran upstairs into the cockpit and told the captain, but the captain still showed no worry on his face until the first officer left the lower rest area if he was not too tired, calmed him down, and told him to sit inside the cockpit. Then the captain and in-flight service manager went down to the lower rest area to check it out, but they found nothing and nobody. So nobody was inside the lower rest area afterwards during this flight. After the A340 landed in HKG, the passengers were all deboarded from the aircraft, and the captain told the in-flight manager, check the main items list on the cargo on board this flight. There should be no animals in the cargo compartment. The in-flight service manager asked, then what was it making such a noise? Captain says, I don't know, but what was located right behind the lower crew rest compartment was a casket with a body inside.
Dude. Yeah, it's got a little bit of the spooky factor to it, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Knowing that, oh my. No, I'd be a bit unnerved myself.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, so our next couple that we got here, just kind of these, those stupid tabloid, like those fake.
Like the Inquirer.
Yeah, those satire.
The World
weird,
News.
Yeah, just.
The Globe.
Yeah, like Bat Boy found in a cave.
Yes.
Those things.
Hey, he was my friend.
Okay, well, kudos to you and your friend. But, so this one might sound familiar to people out there. So in 1954, Santiago Airlines Flight 513 took off from Germany, and it was actually on its way to Brazil. But on its travels, it disappeared while flying over the Atlantic Ocean. Just gone.
It flew into the Bermuda Triangle.
It might have. I don't know. So decades later, so we're talking like 1989, an old aircraft actually appeared over Brazil. And it landed at the airport as if, nothing out of the ordinary, just landed.
Right.
And when the ground crew actually approached it to actually service the plane, they froze because the aircraft was full of skeletons.
Oh my.
So it says the pilots, the passengers, the flight attendants, all of them were just dry bones with no indication as to what in the world happened. Just a bunch of dry bone skeletons sitting in their seats.
Maybe, you know what happened? I know what happened. They took a coin from the cursed treasure, and it was nighttime, and the moon was shining, and that's why they were all skeletons.
Okay. Well, anyways, so you might have guessed it. It's yet another Weekly World news story, like we were talking about. So after the success of the first plane reappearance, they clearly just had to try it yet again. This time, the fact that the Lockheed Constellation pictured on the tabloid's cover could not make the 10,000 kilometers, which is like 6,000 miles.
Right. It's a heck of a flight.
It's quite of a flight. Journey between Germany and Brazil, it didn't bother the tabloid's writers at all. So, minor detail.
Why would you fact check anything?
So the fact that Santiago Airlines did not exist was also a minor inconvenience.
Oh.
It's an airline that didn't even exist. But this is why you need to ask questions.
Yes.
Obviously, if you know these tabloids are a joke and you buy them just for fun, hey, great. But, there are people out there, and I hope not many, that would believe anything they read.
Yeah.
Without questioning a bit of it.
Well, I think the Men in Black do.
Jeez. So, eagle eye readers with a fascination for old TV shows probably picked up on the fact that the tales of both the Santiago Flight 513 and Pan Am Flight 914 actually bear an uncanny resemblance to the Odyssey of Flight 33, which is actually a TV show known as The Twilight Zone.
Uh-huh. Yes, The Twilight Zone.
So its plot featured a time-traveling airliner.
See.
Bam.
Yep.
Yep. But come on.
Yeah.
I have to admit, those things were kind of fun to read.
Oh, yeah.
They were a bunch of bullplop.
Oh, definitely.
But they were so fun to read.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Totally different.
So, our last one is about a Douglas DC-4. So, this took place in 1955. And the Douglas DC-4 supposedly took off from New York, and it was en route to Miami, Florida. So it just disappeared. And before suddenly reappearing over Venezuela 30 years later.
They really missed Miami by a few thousand
Oh,
miles.
I wouldn't say a mile. So that means that what? If it took off in 1955 and 30 years later, so 1985.
Yeah.
Is when it reappeared.
Yep.
So according to the legend, the aircraft's crew actually landed as if nothing had actually even happened. So the story goes that the plane and its passengers did not age at all after 30 years. It's as if they had traveled through time, like a wormhole or some other plot device from a sci-fi TV show.
Yes.
First appearing in the late 1980s, the story was first widely covered by tabloid magazines, and the arrival of the internet gave the story a new life, of course.
Which is where we found it.
Yep. So there's been many retellings and versions, providing like fresh details. Each of them just better than the next, right?
Yeah.
They're just like one-upping each other on these things. So according to some, the aircraft crashed in Venezuela, or it took off and disappeared again. So there's different versions.
Did new people get on the plane? Did the other people get off the plane?
It doesn't, I don't see any of that. But some describe the passengers as being possessed or insane after the flight. And then others say all of them were just dead upon arrival. So the dates and locations of actually where the flight eventually landed tend to vary.
So it actually could be the same story that we just covered, because both took place in 1955.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they just could be a variation of the same awful story. You got to wonder, though, what was that TV show that just came out? Well, it came out a few years back about the same thing. Remember, they took off in the flight.
It's like they went through a wormhole and they landed, but it's been years later, but they haven't aged or anything.
Yeah. Was it called The Flight?
I don't remember.
It's a TV
I
show.
know exactly what you're talking about.
We watched something. Yeah, we used to watch it.
But I don't remember the exact name. So I think it was on
A&E or Sci-Fi, usually.
I don't know. It was on one of our streaming services.
Yeah, can't remember.
Anyways, so there are countless photos and videos and, to show the aircraft and its crew either before the takeoff in 1955 or, the mysterious reappearances of this flight. And some of those even feature a Pan Am DC-4, though most of them don't bother with that and display any old stock photo with an airplane on it.
Like, look, here's an old plane.
Yeah, here's an old plane. Look, this is it. This was the actual plane.
Why is it the Wright brothers on that plane?
So, yeah. I mean, and why those tabloid stories are fun. They're also very comical.
They are.
And I think that's part of the entertainment of it.
Yeah. The reason why I wanted to include those, part of it is because, one, they're fun. They're just fun, funny stories.
Yeah.
But two, it shows that they're still, like, especially with the internet now, it's so easy to disseminate false and wrong information, and it just catches and runs.
Oh, it catches like wildfire.
It does.
It spreads very quickly, more so than the truth ever will.
Yeah.
And that's what's really sad.
Well, that's what makes the paranormal so challenging.
Well, that's what makes a lot of things challenging, even outside of the paranormals. People are they praise those that are faking it, and they buy into it, and they praise them. And then the ones that are telling the truth, they ridicule and persecute.
It's tough. It's a tough field.
It's a tough field. Yeah, it really is. You praise some for being fake, and you ridicule others for being truthful.
Yep.
It's sad, but unfortunately it's the way our world is.
It is. It's the nature of social media, unfortunately. Get those clicks, get those likes, which it's how we all get, that's really how we get noticed, right? Is the likes and subscribes and stuff.
Yes, but the difference is, I would never fake anything or put anything out there that I didn't believe had, like, without validation. I wouldn't put anything out there that I felt was questionable or not real.
Right.
That I believed to be fake.
Right.
And try to pass it off as truth.
Exactly.
I will not do that. I don't care about the likes. Yes, I want people to like. Yes, I want people to come here and listen.
But we're not gonna put out fake stuff.
We're not gonna fake it. We're not gonna lie. We're not gonna do that just to get those things, because you know what? We love what we do, and that's number one. Is staying true to it.
Absolutely.
With all the fakers out there, for those that are trying to pave the way for the truth tellers and are keeping it real, yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to say thank you for listening, tuning in. And be ready for next week's episode where we talk about our year in review.
Yeah, our year 2023, we went to a lot of new places that
did.
we had never investigated before.
It was a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that episode. And as always, stay ghosty, my peeps.
Welcome to Murder and Mimosas.
I'm Shannon.
And I'm Danica.
Together as a mother and daughter duo, we host Murder Mimosas, true crime podcast with an episode released every Saturday at 10 a.m. so you can listen to it during prime brunch time. While we don't require a mimosa, we do highly recommend one. All of our episodes are cases that we found really interesting or just really stuck with us because we hope they'll do the same for you. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Thank you for listening to the Paranormal Peeps podcast. You can find us on social media at Twitter at CPR Paranormal, on Facebook at Paranormal Peeps Podcast and Cold Spot Paranormal Research. And you can find us on Instagram at coldspot_paranormal_research.